April reading wrap-up page, or slide in my presentation. I like that my sleeves are like blending into my background. That's wonderful. Um, so yeah, I read like 4 books this month, which I think is pretty good considering I got sick in the last week, and all I wanted to do was sleep. Yeah, pretty good actually. I also listened to like 40% of a book during my like 5-6 hour drive back home on last Friday. So we're already 40% to me reviewing another book. But anyway, let's talk about it. Let's talk all about it. That I read was this took so long. Here we go. Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this book definitely drew me in because it has a pretty cover, or at least an enticing cover, I think. It's Foundryside. There's a key on the cover and there's a hand on the cover, and that's very important to the book. What does it say? It says by the author of City of Stairs. Oh yeah, it is by that author. Okay, cool. I didn't read that ever, but anyway. So yeah, this book by Robert Jackson Bennett. Yeah, Foundryside is a book. It contains a really interesting magic system in a world that's very based around like the Venetian city-states, with like merchant houses being the government in the world. The story centers around Sancha. She's a very talented thief who has been sent to steal, unbeknownst to her, an incredibly powerful artifact that could change the world. She only realizes that she's stolen an intensely powerful artifact because after she stole it, she goes back to her house and she like opens up the box that it's in, and then she's like realizes that this key is like sentient and can talk to her. So yeah, there's a sentient key in this novel. His name is Clef. He can talk to Sancha because Sancha can actually like, she can just listen to the various items and things throughout the world that have like magic imbued in them. And so like the way that magic works is like all the items in the world can have anything, really. Can have runes imprinted on them, and then the runes make the objects do various things. Like they invented cars basically because they wrote runes on wheels that make the wheel think that it's always moving downhill, and then a different one for like the brakes, I assume. So anyway, Sancha now has Clef, the sentient key, and now has to deal with people coming after her, trying to steal Clef away and kill her because she has like this knowledge that Clef exists. And the story unfolds from here. So, as I'm not giving too much away, but yeah, I think the thing with Clef is that he can open up any lock, so he's incredibly desirable, but he's also like cool and has a personality, and he's really fun to listen to. So I already have the stars up here, and as you can see, I gave it 3.5 stars, which to me is like, it's not a poor rating, just there are parts of the story I just didn't enjoy or I took issue with. So let's discuss what the things I liked first. One, I already said it, I think, but I think the magic system is really cool and it's super quirky. I think Bennett really made the magic system the way he did so he could write. He could make all these inanimate voices have voices. All these inanimate objects have voices and stuff. And it was very fun to read. 2, Clef is the best character. I love him. He has such a good, goofy personality, and I would be shocked if you didn't love him too by the end of the story. So Klefki the Pokemon. Oh my god! It is like Klefki the Pokemon! That's really funny. Because he's a key! Okay. Now one of the things I didn't like quite as much. There's too much time spent on the world building, to the point where I was forgetting what was going on in the plot. I started to not care about certain characters because they would bring them up, and then they would give more world building, and then they would go back to the character and be like, who is that? There's just too much world building. It's a really cool world, but there's too much of it. Of just talking about how things work within it, the world. So I think, though, if you are the kind of reader that loves extensive, well-thought-out world building, you're gonna really like this book. I personally thought that it got in the way of the plot, but some people are gonna eat it up and love it. The book covers really heavy topics in nuanced ways, while still providing a fun heist story. And because the magic system itself and Sancha as a character, they're really strong, I ended up liking the book, even if I thought it was a little heavy with the world building at times. As the book further progressed, though, the more and more I realized, like, oh, this book is like took a lot of it, like, it took a lot of inspiration, or at least this author has absolutely, without a doubt, watched or read Full Metal Alchemist. There's a lot of Full Metal Alchemist inspired concepts, and I think Bennett presented them in his own way. But I was honestly happy to see a book that was clearly influenced by, like, probably what's considered one of the best, maybe even pieces of Japanese, like, manga and anime. It's really cool. I don't think the author has come out and directly said, but there's a certain character, and you're like, no, that has to be a reference to Full Metal Alchemist, or not a reference, but inspired by Full Metal Alchemist. So, yeah, I also think if you really like Full Metal, you'll probably like this world. I can't tell you why, because it's spoilers, but you'll probably like it. So yeah, 3.5 stars. It's a trilogy. I'm not super interested in reading the second book in the series right now, but maybe down the road. I read this as an audiobook, or I listened to it, I guess, as an audiobook. And the audiobook narrator is Tara Sands, which probably you don't know off the top of your head, but if you grew up with 4Kids dubs, you know Tara Sands. Tara Sands voiced, like, Bulbasaur for, like, ever in the Pokemon series, and, like, Seto Kaiba's little brother and things like that throughout the 4Kids reign. She did a really good job. So if you just prefer listening to books, I think it's a good option, too. Yeah. 4Kids dub Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a special place in my heart. Heck yeah. I do understand. It's so cheesy, but it's like, it's what you grew up with, so it has a special place. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I didn't know that, like, Tara Sands did audiobooks, but she does. So that's cool, right? Yes, it is neat. The next book I have a lot of feelings about, and I kind of have already talked about these feelings on a different stream, on a different book club stream, but we're going to talk about it for realsies now. This is The Genesis of Misery by Neon Young. Now, I picked this book because the Buzzwordathon that I'm taking a part of, which is every month. This is a readathon run by Books and Lala. She's a booktuber on YouTube. She picks, like, a theme, and then you, like, have to pick a book based on that theme. And so I had to pick an emotion. So obviously I picked misery. This one looks kind of neat just from the cover. Yeah. The cover definitely drew me in. It's pretty cool. A very neat cover, and I think the general premise, like the tagline of this book, is like Joan of Arc, but make it Gundam. and while I can see the Gundam, there's definitely Gundam references. It's definitely more like Joan of Arc, but make it Neon Genesis Evangelion, to be honest. But there's Gundam references as well. The story follows Misery Namaki. She is a person from, or I guess I don't know her, so I'm going to use they pronouns. Like, we'll get into it in a second. The story follows Misery Namaki, a person from a mining planet who possesses the power to manipulate holy stones of the saints. With these abilities, she's labeled as a prophet and brought to the capital to prove that she's a prophet. One thing leads to another, and she's sent far, far away from the capital to, like, a military base where she starts training to pilot a mech. This book is so weird. I don't know how to talk about this book, honestly. It's just really, it was a very strange read. Chunks of the book I really liked, and other chunks I really did not like, and other chunks had me going, but why? A lot of this book is just spent in, like, in Misery's head, and it's a swirling, confused space. And while I actually really like an unreliable narrator, and I was so down for it for, like, half the book, the continuous swirling and ruminating started spiraling in my own head. And I started to forget where we were even going in the plot, which I want to say can work. Like, it's totally, like, valid and, like, can be a really good way to, like, confuse your reader and then, like, have the plot, like, culminate in, like, a different, unique way, but it just didn't work for me here. there's a point where they're like revealing a major plot point. They're like, oh, this character's actually this character. And I had entirely forgotten that that was a character at all because they were mentioned very briefly, and like it was all just like Misery was so caught up in her own shit that they just weren't paying attention to a lot of the other factors in the book. But as a reader, I felt like I was missing the information too. So I was just as lost as Misery, which maybe was the point. I just got too confused, I think. Maybe I'm too stupid to read the book. I don't know. I think the book could have actually, if the book had like one additional perspective sprinkled throughout the book to give a bit of context to what was happening, as since Misery is getting so lost in her mind, I thought that that would be cool, but that's simply my preferences. The book was definitely a unique writing experiment. I love the ideas being presented. I just wonder if they needed to be a bit more edited, or the author needed to I don't know, I guess like mull it over a little bit longer. I don't know. I think utilizing the modern internet slang with beautiful prose is really unique, and I thought that it was pretty funny at times, but I don't think it was executed all that eloquently. Like, if you're gonna use words like yeet, do it a lot, don't just do it one time. Because otherwise it sounds really unnatural juxtaposed with the beautiful speech rather than like a true stream of conscious style of writing. That's just me. Because yeah, yeet's used in the book, but only one time. And it felt really weird. To me. I think I was missing something. I guess I did say that before. Like, maybe if I had grown up in a heavily religious household, I would have taken away more from this book, but it honestly just left me confused and disappointed. However, this book has a passage that I related to so much with it, because it's like, that's how I feel as a being, a slug that exists in this world that just doesn't like gender, but has to deal with it because it's a concept as humanity. So I'm gonna read the paragraph. It's like a tiny little passage because it'll give you an idea of what to expect in the book and also how I feel in general. So Misery asks why they use they, she pronouns, and they respond with, you'll find it's different for everyone. In my case, I've never cared for gender. Whatever it is, whatever it means, I was raised with she, her pronouns, and it's what I'm used to. But they're just words. So I chose they as my official pronoun. But I was raised with she, and honestly, that's what is in my head. It's not like anything about me changed, and those close to me use she. My family, my comrades, but I insist on they in official terms and in the records because that's important. They say I'm Nixon, and I want that visibly, tangibly recorded. Does that make sense? But Nixon just means non-binary or agender in this world. So yeah, weird book. I still don't know how I feel about it. I wanted to love it, and I absolutely loved parts of it, but on a whole, I don't think I liked it that much. I give it 3 stars. 3 stars. That's what I could do. Oh, it was Secret Chips lore. Yeah, it's Secret Chips lore. It's like, yeah, it's just like, you can use whatever. I don't know. I just don't like gender. That's all. I don't like it. I like being slug. But you can use whatever pronouns you want. So yeah, that's Genesis of Misery. I don't recommend this book. I just think it's different. It's weird. I don't know. Anyway. So yeah, Genesis of Misery. That's what I read for the Buzzwordathon. I don't regret it. I actually really don't regret it, but it was a really weird read. And I don't know if I cannot widely recommend it to people. But actually, if you really like mechs, you'll probably like the mech parts because it's very unique mechs. It's not like what you would see. They're not at all like Gundam mechs. They're a lot more like NGE mechs. But they're really their own thing. So the next book is Guardians of Dawn Zhara. The series is just called Guardians of Dawn, and then this book is called Zhara by Jae-Jones. I got this book as an ARC in exchange for a fair review from NetGalley, so thank you for that. I don't know, I've recently, oh no, my ears are in front of the, oh wait, I guess you can see the author's ears, so it's fine. I don't know, I think I just started applying for ARCs, and all the ARCs I'm getting, I'm liking so far, so that's good, right? Hopefully it'll stay that way. It probably won't eventually, but it's like that for now. Now, okay, Zhara is pitched as a Sailor Moon meets Cinder. Now, if you don't know the book Cinder by Marissa Meyer, I will pitch it to you as Sailor Moon with a dash of fairy tale in an Avatar: The Last Airbender-like world. It really is. So Zhara takes place in the Morning Realms, a land where magic is forbidden. Magic users are called abominations and are blamed for a monster plague that occurred in the Morning Realms 20 years ago. The main character, Zhara, is indeed a magician, but she's worried about she's like more worried about appeasing her stepmother's demands and just trying to keep her own magic under wraps in general, rather than worrying about the rumors of that monsters that are returning. Except she can't. Because after a chance encounter with a himbo named Han, she's hurtled into a secret magical aid organization and starts trying to solve the plague problem alongside her newfound friends. So yes, as you could probably tell from this description, it is a young adult fantasy, but it's great. I had a lot of fun with it. The lush style of writing really allows for the characters to come to life, and they really feel at home in this Asian-inspired fantasy. The struggles that Zhara experiences with her newfound power, her complicated relationship with her stepmother, and cute boys is refreshing. The topics covered are actually pretty dark, but they're presented in a lighter way that's good for YA readers. A lot like what Avatar: The Airbender does, I think. The rest of the cast are just charming and lovable. It has great himbo, LGBT, and for some reason BTS representation, which was really weird but really funny. I kind of liked it. BTS is just like in the book. It's great. I'm not even like a fan of BTS. I was just like, oh, okay, sure, why not? Because they're not the same as they are in real life, but it's definitely them, you know. Mentioned anyway. There are some characters in the story I was really hoping would get a bit more development, especially after one of them receives like devastating news. If you've read the book, you know. But sadly, this doesn't occur in the book. However, I hope they will return in the next book in the series, and they'll get that. They'll get more screen time, I guess, within the book. This book series, Guardians of Dawn, was actually approved for like a 4-book series, which is kind of neat. Like that doesn't happen a lot, especially for like Asian fantasy. So it's honestly super exciting. Now, the one thing I didn't like was that there were characters who would start monologuing for like a while, like a long time, to provide Zhara with exposition that she wouldn't have otherwise. And while I would agree it makes sense to provide information like this sometimes in a monologue-like style, it just happened a bit too many times for my liking, but I'm willing to just mostly overlook it. This book is fun, it's magical, and a good time. For those curious, so Cinder by Marissa Meyer is like a cyberpunk retelling of Cinderella, and there are definitely obvious Cinderella references in Zhara. She has like a evil stepmother, you know? Like, but I didn't get it. I didn't get it at all until the very end when, you know, the Cinderella midnight moment happens because I'm stupid. I just wasn't thinking about it. I was like, why are they comparing this book to Cinder? It's not like Cinderella at all. Except it is. It's totally Cinderella. I just wasn't thinking about the fairy tale. I was just thinking about how the world was really cool and reminded me of the fun I experienced while I was watching Avatar: The Last Airbender for the first time. Regardless, I really enjoyed this book, and I can't wait for the sequel, and I'm probably gonna have to wait 2 years. That's gonna drive me crazy. But yeah, Zhara, it's good. You like magical girls, you like it. You like Avatar: The Last Airbender, you like it. If you like fairy tales, you like it. It's written really nicely. I just didn't give it. It's not quite a 5-star book for me, but it's just very, very, very solid 4-star. Yeah, which means I enjoyed it. Now, the last book I read, I unfortunately didn't like as much as the other books, and I think this book suffered from being marketed incorrectly, but it is what it is. So here we have it. We have Stoneblind by Natalie Haynes. This book is just not what I expected, based on the cover, the blurb of the book, or really any of the book's advertisements. And we're about to get into it. Alright. This book says it's a fresh take on the story of Medusa, the original monstered woman. And by the book, I mean like the little inside flap of the book, you know? So if you don't know the story of Medusa, or rather the Roman myth take on it, this book is definitely a retelling of Medusa. Medusa is the youngest of the Gorgon sisters, and unlike her sisters, she's mortal. She isn't born with snake hair, but she does have wings. But she has to eat and sleep and do things that mortals do. Anyway, one day Poseidon does a very bad and cruel thing to Medusa, like what happens in the Roman myth take on the tale of Medusa, in Athene's temple. And so then Athene is enraged. She is furious about Poseidon violating her sacred space. So Athene takes revenge on Medusa and curses her into the popularized version of Medusa with the snake hair and everything, and turning people to stone and stuff like that. And then the book switches perspectives so many times. So many times! It switches to Perseus' tale and the surrounding characters that were involved in the tale. So it doesn't sound so bad. But yeah, the last line of the blurb for the book reads like, delving into the origins of the mythic tale, Haynes revitalizes and reconstructs Medusa's story with her passion and fierce wit, offering a timely retelling of this classic myth that speaks to us today. Was it really timely? Does it really revitalize the story? Okay, I'm gonna talk about how I feel about the book though. Okay. I feel bad saying mean things, but I guess it just is. It's just how I feel. And if you like this book, that's totally valid. Medusa's literally in the book for like, she's only in like 30% of the book. The rest of the book is from like various other perspectives. Like there's various Olympians, various characters that are mentioned throughout Perseus' story, or just actually Perseus' tale. And I absolutely understand having Perseus' perspective in this book, but I don't understand advertising the book as being all about Medusa. Like, it's the revitalizing of her new tale. She's on the cover. Like, it just looks like it's gonna be about her, when it's just not about her. It's about, like, everybody as well. And I guess maybe, I don't know, I just don't think, it's not what I was expecting, I guess. And not only that, but the book is kind of boring. I honestly think the only reason I didn't drop the book, I didn't DNF the book, is because I'm familiar with the tale. And I was like, okay, well, let's see how this part plays out. And the only reason this isn't like a 1-star, to be honest, is that the fierce wit part of that blurb is right. Haynes is she's a good humor author. There's one part that made me I just laughed out loud. Where there's one part where Athena is just like, but I thought you liked me, to Hermes, and Hermes just says, why? Why did you think that? And because the book was overall pretty boring, that's the kind of thing that made me laugh, I guess. It was just goofy. I suppose perhaps the point of this novel was to reinforce the thought that Medusa did nothing wrong, but was punished. Things that weren't her fault anyway. But I suppose in my head there would have been more reimagined surrounding just Medusa and her story before she meets her fatal ending. But it wasn't there, and I just didn't like it. It was mostly about Perseus, and not about Medusa really at all. So, yeah. I'm sorry to anyone who read this and did like it. It just wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. And so that is what I read in April. That was what the month we were just in. It's the last day of April. Yeah. So that's what I had. This following month, for the Buzzwordathon, I've been tossing around a few books. How did I pick the book? That's a great question. I love Greek mythology retellings, or just mythology retellings in general, and I'm trying to get into them again. And this book came out this year, and I have like a series of books that I have like lined up as like, I go and I request a bunch of books from my library, and then when they come in on Libby or Overdrive, whichever you have, I just read them as they come up. And this one came up this month for me to read, so I did. But I like Greek mythology retelling, so I liked Circe by Madeline Miller, right? The Percy Jackson series is a staple when I feel like if you're gonna read things, because it's just fun. But sadly, it just wasn't for me. Yeah, because normally I tend to read like fantasy or sci-fi. All the other books I read were fantasy or sci-fi, but I'm also trying to push myself to read more contemporary and historical fiction as well, because I know I can like the genre. I'm just a bit more picky in it. Um, yeah, this next month I'm trying to find a book. Well, I found the book now. I think I'm gonna try reading Honey and Spice by. Hold on. Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola. Sorry, I was like, I'm gonna say this wrong if I cannot actually read it. Which is a contemporary romance, and I'm interested in that. I haven't had the best experiences with contemporary romances yet, but I also haven't had bad experiences with contemporary romances yet, so I'm hoping to find more theme, or figure out what themes I like in those kinds of stories, so I can find more books like that too. But I can't even tell you what themes I like yet, because I've only read like 3. Yeah, I think that's the flavor I'm picking is honey and spice. I don't know. There were a few other books I wanted to try reading, like As Long as the Lemon Tree Grows, I think, by Zulfa Kato. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, As Long as the Lemon Tree Grows, but which is about like the Syrian civil war, and I think it would be a really important book to read, but I'm just not in the mental space right now to read about war. So unfortunately I'm gonna have to like put that on my shelf for now and read it, and like maybe by the end of the year I'll be all right and I could read it. We'll see. But I really want to read it. It's not yet. I do have another arc. I might not get to it this month. We'll see. And the last thing I need to say is that our next Sea Slug, or what do we call it? Star Slug Reading Club book pick is This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Mohtar and Max Gladstone. We will be discussing it on May 9th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time Zone. I'm excited to finally finish this book. Oh my god, it is! Look! This is the author I just talked about, Madeline Miller! Anyway. Yes, I'm excited to finally read this book. It's a short novella, too, so if you want to join us on that stream, or even in the VOD comment section, feel free to read it along with us. I'd be happy. It would be great. But yeah, this is a sci-fi time travel sapphic story, and it's pretty short, so I think that's all I'm gonna blurb it as. If that sounds interesting. It's exactly 200 pages, so why not? Hello. As ending video trips, thank you. I just want to say thank you very much for watching this video. So far in my book content, all I've done is book wrap-ups, which is like, I feel like that's like what everyone starts with. It's like how you start to feel natural, just talking about books. But I do have lots of ideas for the future, so maybe starting in June, you'll see more than just a reading wrap-up. But, there's things that I want to do. Things just take time to get off the ground and get going. So I appreciate you just watching these for now. I hope you look forward to the content that book stuff that I plan to talk about later on. And if you do like it and you want to subscribe, you'll make my day. But just watching is good enough if that's all you want to do. Anyway, thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Bye!